videos, what you call visual news is done at Z.M.C. Or I'm listening to the radio 1, radio 2, radio 3, radio 4. So the problem with technology is that it breaks barriers. It where you could restrict, technology has the habit, unfortunately, of breaking barriers. To the extent that a lot of the things that we used to do 10, 15 years ago, we're now doing them differently. It's not just affecting us. Someone was saying the largest bank in the country right now is EcoCash. Right? It has no branches. You are the branch manager. They have employed you. You do your own deposits, and you do your own payments. You reconcile your own payments on your phone without going to the bank. And yet, they are harvesting the money. So these are the realities that are facing us today. Unfortunately, with the media, and it's very unfortunate, the reality is that what we used to be our holy grail, our sacred space, is now, because of technology, is now being open to everyone. Where you used to have a sub-editor, any citizen today is a sub-editor. Any citizen today can gather information. Any citizen today can compile information. Any citizen today can disseminate information. This is the reality. In fact, I can argue, I don't have a study backing this, but I can argue that 90% of the information that we have today has come from non-journalists. If you go on Facebook, which is the largest media house today, largest media house, you are the editor, you are the everything, you are the ones who post, you are the ones who decide what is read, right? But the reality is that most of those people are not trained journalists. And yet, because many of them are consistently churning out information, they need to be regulated. If we don't regulate them via the media, we must then criminalize them. And the Constitution, Section 61, Section 62, are saying there's freedom of the media, there's freedom of expression. You cannot stop a citizen from expressing themselves. You can't. You can't go to somebody who has said, I was at Queen's Sports Club and I saw 50 people gathered in a room discussing something, and they post it. How do you stop them? Right. Now, I think there's an allegation that we must respond to, and we get it everywhere. That we are accrediting everyone, and perhaps because we want the money. If we wanted the money, I can tell you, would accredit 1 million Zimbabweans. $15, that would be good, $15 million. We won't even talk to Treasury. We'll tell to the movie, keep your money, we'll keep our commission. But we have put in a system of gatekeeping that ensures that at least those that are showing interest in journalism are the ones that we accredit. That is why we only accredit 2,500 people per year. So despite your fears that we are accrediting everyone, versus the population of Zimbabwe of 16 million, we are only accrediting 2,500 people. And most of them, you realize, have got something to do with journalism. Here's the other problem. Journalism schools are churning out graduates every year. Many of them. Some of whom don't even move into traditional media houses. So you might not even know them. Some move into political parties, but they are journalists. Some of them move into the private sector, but they are journalists. Some of them move into the army, but they are journalists. Some of them move into the police. No, it's just true.
It's true. That's true, but that's not exactly our. Listen, we know it's the essence of natural knowledge, the executive sector, but even media, Chinese media, Twitter,
I'm coming there. I'm coming there. My But I'm first saying, let's establish that they exist. Whether we like them or not. Some of them are in political parties. But they're what? They're journalists. Code Manina here was telling us that you actually have outreaches to reach out to public relations officers, to reach out to communications specialists. All those people are doing communication work and they must be regulated somehow.